as one of your leaders in this movement. But one of the things that I'm going to take in consideration is this. We are speaking from the location of St. Louis called St. Louis. But we have dubbed it the City of Almond. We've tried to give St. Louis that honor to become a town, a city that is recognized by the world as an area that introduced the concept of peace. So with that said, if it was not for our Rasul, nothing would be possible. The City of Almond, St. Louis, the City of Almond, the City of Peace. I speak. I'd like to put more emphasis on that particular thing in my lessons because I want that spirit to go out. The spirit of Almond. St. Louis don't realize the importance of being the City of Almond and what the City of Almond would entail. Can you imagine St. Louis, the City of Almond, being recognized because of this man, this God, came to this town, started his so-called ministry from this town, bringing his message from this town. He could have went to Chicago, he could have went to New York, he could have went to any place, but no, he came to St. Louis, the City of Almond, that we have given the name City of Almond. Whether they ever accept it or not, we're sending this message out into the universe. This is the City of Almond, the City of Peace. Peace be with you, my gods and goddesses. Today, we will talk about a culture lesson. I asked my mentor one time, after he'd given me so much information about everything, there's nothing that we are lacking as far as information to impart to our people and to ourselves to keep us on the straight and narrow. And I asked him, I said, "Hi, Cheikh, you've taught me so much." I say, "But what should I teach the people? I want to know, what should I teach the people right now? What can I tell the people? What can I show them to help motivate this idea?" And he said, "Abdullah, if you teach a people's God, a people's race, a people's culture, a people's history are all one and the same thing, then you are teaching exactly what we're striving to accomplish." So with that said, the lesson that we have chosen to bring forth was a lesson given by our illustrious God, Paul Nathaniel Johnson, entitled Culture Lesson Number 1 by Paul Nathaniel Johnson, B.A. Peace be upon his name. Amen. I'd like to bring that map that we have on the wall back here. I'd like for you all to take a glance of that map so you'll understand exactly where I'm striving to take your minds this morning. It says the geographical foundation and creative beginning of all mankind is the torrid zone, the equator that belts the earth. We need to see where that equator is, so we'll know exactly what it is that we're talking about. We're saying that the geographical foundation and creative beginning of all mankind is the torrid zone, and in parenthesis, the equator that belts the earth. Here, we have given you, our students, an idea as to where your beginning started. Your beginning and everybody else's beginning. Because we say that we are the fathers of all mankind. Well, the fathers of all mankind started in this area called the torrid zone, the hottest place, because it could not have happened any other place. Heat means life, cold means death, so to speak. They are the fathers of all mankind, and all men are brothers. That is something that we've completely gotten away from. We got away from it when we start thinking about the different races and the categories that we put on the basis of a race. You got the white race, you got the red race, you got the black race, you got the green race, you got all of these different races, when in reality there's only one race, and that race is the human race. But we do have nations of people, or different nationalities of people. And all of these nationalities of people that are spoken of come from that equator, from that area that we're talking about today. And as I said, when you go home, look at your map and see where that equator is. That equator, we're saying that it was in that area that all mankind evolved. These people, they are the fathers of all mankind, and all men are brothers. The real Africa revealed. The original Africa, or Ethiopia, comprised every land, ocean, river, and lake under the equator within the tropics. That is a mouthful. We are saying that every land, ocean, and everything that we know of today made up what is called Africa or Ethiopia. When the lands were all joined together, every ocean, every river, all of these things were the original Africa or Ethiopia. These things are not the things that are being taught in the schools. They are told that they're separate from all these other things. This is what we teach in our college. We're teaching that all of these things comprise every land, ocean, river, and lake under the equator within the tropics, which is Australia in the east, the Amazon in Brazil, the sundries in India, South America, and every island of the tropics was Ethiopia. Ancient Islam unveiled the real Ethiopia. His way of seeing and expressing ideas and things need not be laughed to scorn. People will say, you're crazy. These things that you're talking about now, even though we've never heard them before, they just sound so off-centered, because this is not the history that we have received in our classrooms. This is what makes us uniquely who we are. Because what we teach is altogether different from what these people are receiving. You have received a message that is telling you where all mankind came from. Didn't come from that Garden of Eden that they talk about. Didn't come from that Garden of Eden. It came from that area around the equator. That was the area that we came from. And this philosophy, or this way of looking at a thing, should not be laughed to scorn. We say that the people would laugh because they don't understand exactly what it is that you're talking about. If they understood what it was you were talking about, then they would have nothing to laugh about. We must develop every superstition. Every superstition that they have said, oh, well, we need to, At one time, our people were known for doing things superstitiously. We wondered how some of our ancestors, some of our parents survived. Because they didn't go to the doctor. So as a result, they had to find their own methods, their own healing methods. And these healing methods, to a certain extent, became the superstitions that people talk about. Well, we must develop every superstition of our folklore into a science. Make a science out of it. Find out how it is, how it came about, how it works. Make it into a science. That in itself requires that we do a lot of investigation. And in that investigation, it has to make your horizon that much more greater. As I said again, we must develop every superstition of our folklore into a science, making it what? Making it practical and useful. It's one thing to have it. There's another thing to make it practical and then find a way to use it. We have not been doing this. We've listened to other people who tell us certain things. And Ethiopia, my brothers and sisters, and Ethiopia shall go hand in hand with God. And Ethiopia shall go hand in hand with God. I know they teach us don't worry about God because they've taken that word and they've made a mockery out of it. The God. We don't know who God is. We know who God is, but they don't. God is either God-man or God the Creator. God the Creator has no bounds. He has no brothers, no sisters, no wife, no husbands, none of these things. But God-man does. And these things should be kept in consideration. And Ethiopia shall stretch forth her hands with God, reproduced by the adept Cheikh, Wabra Samahi, and his chief, or your chief, and master of Islamic science in Fahami schools of science. Fahami, above all. Fahami. The first important step towards progress is to develop culture. Culture means to worship your own most high gods, contrary to what other people are saying. What culture is. We have given ourselves a definition as to what culture means, and we are going from that point of view. Not this point of view that you are saying that culture is how well we can dance, how well we can sing, how well we can run. We're saying culture means to worship what? Your own Most High gods, your own saints, gods and goddesses. Those who do not do this are devoid of culture, meaning you have no culture. You can say that you have culture, but we know you have no culture. What ails a people? What is wrong with the people who know their own history, then goes on worshiping strange gods which ignore them and laugh at their calamity while they complain? And this is what is going on right now. We're getting the same results over and over and over again because we have refused to change. But one of the things that is in your favor, or one of the things that is keeping you in that same frame of mind is this. Every people who have been oppressed have followed the leads of their oppressor. If their oppressor walked to the right, that's what you end up doing, walking to the right. You end up doing everything that your oppressor have taught you. It became a way of life as far as you are concerned. And you wonder why we act the way we act. Because this is the way that your oppressors have taught you. It is only from this movement, it is only from this group, this movement, that is trying to give us a different idea as to what we should do. Everybody else is trying to walk lockstep with this person and getting nowhere in return. So the Rasul came to us with a message, with a name for God, with a name for language, with a name for everything that we need. We do not become victims anymore of the same thing that is happening over and over and over again. And if we follow these things, we're going to get a different result. We're going to get a different result. What is a people who knows their own history, then goes on worshiping strange gods, which ignore them and laugh at their calamity. They don't want you to be anything. They don't want you to be anything. They want you to continue to be what you are right now. Servants and boot blackers. While they complain. These people complaining. Oh, Lord, I don't know. And oh, man, what am I going to do? Oh, Jesus, oh, Lord. See, complaining. But when you are given another point of view, what do? You say, these people are foolish. You say, they're foolish. That idea that they're talking about, it don't make sense. I ain't giving up my Jesus. Maybe we're not asking you to give up your Jesus. What we're asking you to do is accept your God and your name for God and your history and everything that pertains to you. What ails a people who adore strange saints and continues to complain? What ails a people who know their glorious past, our salvation? We are as low as a race can get without being placed in slave chains. Think about that. We are as low as a race. And you say, oh, Cheikh, I have a good job. I have a good job. I make 8, 12, 15 figures. I'm doing well. I'm doing good. You talking about we are as close to being slaves as they can. Let's analyze that. Right now, if we want our food, where do we go to get our food? We go to Schnucks. We go to Deerbergs, we go to Aldi's, or we go to these Shop and Save or whatever. Wherever we go for our food there. Why? Because we have not We have forgotten how to grow our own food, which is our salvation. You can never be a upright people when you have to constantly go back to other people for your necessities. This is your necessities. That in itself can put you on the brink of slavery, because we don't produce anything for ourselves. Everything that is given to us comes from our oppressor, and he has a price that he puts on it if you receive it. We, as a race, will be returned to slavery in the very near future, unless we start now. What was now? What was yesterday was now. What is today? Now. Worshiping the gods of your fathers and recognizing our own saints, virgins, and noble ancestors. Christianity has worked wonders for the Europeans, and this is good. In our race, Christianity has been running out of our ears, yet 70% of our people are on relief, welfare, or charity. Think. Think. We, who are followers of the Honorable Paul Nathaniel Johnson's doctrine, I am placing you as of now under control of the doctrines of Isis, El, and Amun. And everyone who is in the ear or listening ear, we are saying the same thing. We who are followers of Paul Nathaniel Johnson's doctrine, I am placing you as of now under the control of the doctrines of Isis, El, and Amun. By this time, you should know what Isis, El, and Amun means. Some of these people are still talking about Islam. What we are talking about is Isis, El, and Amun, all together different. Sounds the same, but it's all together different. A different world, so to speak. We as patriarchs, that is, fathers and rulers of a family, must, as of now, be indoctrinated with ancestral views. It's necessary that we have ancestral views. Can our good pink brothers say the same thing about their ancestral views and be precise and accurate about it? And the answer is no. They have to come along and pigtail on what you taught them or what you are teaching right now. Yes, they are our sons and daughters. But what about you? What about you finding something peculiar to yourself that you can hang your hat on? Here, we have a principal teacher of a truth for all, with all, and by all, means to help you guide them in a natural way. That's what we're trying to do. Muhammad is trying to guide these people in a natural way when everything else seems to be telling them to go in another direction. We must inculcate. We must inculcate. What is that word, inculcate? We must inculcate. That is, impress by repetition and teach persistently our young people of Muhammad the rudiments of science and art. In other words, their beginning. Fahamiism is destined to preoccupy or take up all of the attentions of the race. It will. It will. Because we have opened the barn door. And once the barn door is open, the horses are not going to go back in. The barn doors have been opened. The people's eyes have been opened. and they see this truth. Once they see this truth and accept this truth, then they're going to go back into the barn, so to speak. That was my thing that I used as an example, the horse and the door of the barn being open. Therefore, Fahmi must take possession and occupy the race's mind before others. Right now, we have people who are stepping forward right now who are supposedly teachers of antiquity, who are telling us different things about what we have already taught them, trying to get the credit, trying to get the credit for what is being said, but also trying to mislead the people again. We have a big job ahead of us, because those people are out there right now. Those charlatans are those people who do not have the racist intent in mind. The question is getting the attention of the people of the streets of St. Louis or the city of Almond, Illinois, Tennessee, Mississippi, and New Orleans, California, and etc., which has preoccupied their minds. Their attention must be taken over by a rhythmic structure or character, which means a movement with a regular repetition of a beat, accent, rise and fall, or the like. When we speak rise and fall. We speak do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. And the question was asked one time, can we sing? And the answer is yes. Because when we speak, we use sharps and flats. You musicians should know that. When you hear me speak, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Same. The rhythmic character is one's movement in a special quality that makes that person or group different from others. And the special quality, as taught in Fahmi, changes the person and causes them to be different from what is ordinary. These are the things we're trying to teach to you. How to be different from the ordinary. Different from what is being taught to you over and over again. That's not going to give you any light. And the special quality as taught in Fahmi changes the person and causes them to be different from what is ordinary. Being different is getting above what people do as usual, regular, or customary. Being above the ordinary is stepping aside from ordinary purposes, which is being somewhat below the average. Certain words and sounds, listen, my gods and goddesses, certain words and sounds attract certain kinds of spirits. Because these words and sounds have certain kinds of odors and attract spirits of the like, the impure ones. Dirty spirits, spirits of immoral, corrupt. These persons are mixed with something of lower value, adulterated, impure elements are forbidden in Fahmi. Read the chapter on beauty, and you'll find out what we're talking about. Which is substance composed of atoms that are chemically alike Alike attracts alike. An element is one of the parts which anything is made up of, which is one of the four substances: earth, water, air, fire, kashu, nishuba, lawensu, amen-ra. From these can come natural or suitable surroundings. It depends upon a year, a month, week, day, hour, minute, second. With this system of actions, cause for sober living. Our doctrine teaches science for controlling our everyday lives and leading our offsprings of the like. Not the Swakis. Because of a repeating, a repetition helps learning things repeated. We learn from things being constantly repeated over and over again. Eventually, we say that you graduate. You gradually eat it, which is just another means of saying a thing over and over and over again. So I know you've heard these things before, but they have to be said over and over again, because we are teaching here. You are being taught, you are being trained how to overcome the obstacles that are going to be placed in front of you. Okay. Being repetition is when we begin to teach something in a tiresome way. Oh, Cheikh, you've said this so many times. I got it on my tape. I got it on my wall. I got it. When are you going to tell us something new? I call that the little bird effect. The little bird waits in the nest. The little bird waits in the nest for his mother to come, mother and father to come back and bring him something to eat. When he brings them something to eat, they feel good. They feel happy. When they don't bring them something to eat, they don't know how they're going to survive. When we in Fahami Islam stop seeking the truth, we become like the little birds. That is, we want something else. Bring me something else. Bring me more. When you haven't taken into consideration what you got. I use the statement sometimes also, cast down your bucket, which simply means use what you got. Use what you got. You don't know what you got. Cast down your bucket. Use what you got. Being repetition is when we begin to teach something in a tiresome way. Remember, the arithmetical character without rhyme or reason is having no system or sense at all. With that said, we thank you for your time and your attention. And hopefully these things that are being said will strike a chord in you, that you in turn will convince someone else to become a part of us. One of the things that we don't do, we don't evangelize. And maybe that's not the word to be used, evangelize. But we see these people out there evangelizing every day. They're out there showing you, telling you what they did. This is the greatest thing that I've ever been associated with.
Indeed.
This is the greatest thing. I'm so glad that I stumbled into this movement. I am so glad that I stumbled into this movement, because representing one's God to me and race is better than representing anything else. That's my favorite saying. Sheikh Amsi here, his was what was his, the oracle? He had a statement that he always used. Everybody has a statement that they use, a catchword that they use. Brother Kim Sue's is, the superficial faith will soon be cast aside. See, somebody else has another one over here. All of them come from the Muhammad gospel, and all of them are truth. All of them are truth. They are motivational things. There's something motivational. With that said, peace be with you, my gods and goddesses. Bisalam yasarak.
Bisalam yasarak.